morning, good evening, good night. Welcome to another episode of Day and Night Cricket, where we literally talk cricket day and night. I'm joined today, this evening actually in Barbados, by Mr. Stats Guru and Mr. Facts Guru. And we're here to review the first test between West Indies and South Africa. We're gonna touch on a few topics this evening. We're gonna talk a bit about the team selection, because that one stirred up some discussion. We're gonna talk about the decision at the toss. We're gonna review the West Indies first innings batting performance or lack thereof. We're gonna talk a bit about the bowling performance and the South Africa innings. Look a bit at the second innings and just see if we can preview the upcoming tests and where West Indies go from here. All right, guys. So I haven't had a chance to view the test match. I don't know if that's a positive or negative, but I haven't had a chance to view the test match. Let's jump into it. Let's talk about it a little bit. Before we jump into the actual proceedings of the test, though, any issues with the team selection? Kyle, I can start with you.
Any issues? I don't think I had any issues. There would have been a couple points that would have raised some contention. When we first saw the teams, I know Shea Hope was the one that everybody assumed would have come in as the opener, so that was already a surprise. But the other two would have been Jada Seals in, and Ross and Chase. I know I would have said that. I think I would have said last time that I wouldn't be surprised if Ross and Chase actually plays. I thought that was a good thing that for West Indies to extend the back a little bit, even though that didn't really help much. But that's what I would have done personally. Yeah, extend the back a little bit because we know South Africa's bowling attack was quite formidable. Cornwall didn't really play much of a part this toss. I guess that's neither here nor there. The big one would have been Jaden Seals and obviously make his test debut. In only his second first class game, which is quite crazy if you think about it. I think he put in a good performance though. I think he definitely showed why the selectors had showed some faith in him, and he looks like definitely a bright spark going forward.
All right. Kurt, how about you? Any issues surrounding the team selection for the first test?
Well, I definitely had some questions about the selection. I was a bit surprised that the extra batsman was chosen ahead of Zari Joseph. I certainly felt as though the option to lengthen the Bahrain, even though it didn't quite end up that way, the option to lengthen the Bahrain to me was not necessarily a positive move. I definitely would have preferred to have Jaden Seals in as well as Zari Joseph in, supported by Raheem Cornwall. But I suppose it would have been neither here nor there because the extra batsman didn't really prove to put the runs on the tins. So that was the only surprise and question mark for me. I felt that Hope would have slotted straight in as the opener, and that the rest of the Bahrain unit would have pretty much mirrored the Bahrain unit that would have been played against Sri Lanka. I didn't necessarily see Chase coming in, but having said that, he came in and he was able to grab his opportunity.
Yeah, I didn't personally. I didn't have an issue with the lineup. My thing would have been playing the extra seamer, given that it was St. Lucia. But also I know that West Indies just played a 4-day game on probably the same wicket or the one right next to it. So I would love to assume that they knew that the deck was gonna be favorable to fast bowling. I mean, even if they didn't play there, St. Lucia is notoriously one of the only venues now in the region that gives a little bit extra to the fast bowlers and the fast bowling lineup. So I was kind of surprised that we went late in that aspect. But I mean, I didn't see a big issue with the side that we selected. Um, I can see, and if I think about it, leading into thinking about the decision at the toss, I mean, I can see how West Indies may have arrived at the decision to play the extra batsman, because they probably sat and probably thought through this exact scenario. The South African bowling lineup is far superior to any that they would have faced in the recent past, being Bangladesh and Sri Lanka. No disrespect to those two sides, but the lineup South Africa has definitely poses a greater threat. And I think they probably sat and said, okay, we need to take 20 wickets to win this test, yes, but we can lose it on day one if we get skittled out. And I think that probably factored into playing the extra batsman. The only other thing for me would have been playing the seamer in place of Cornwall, the spinner. But again, which would have been a horses for courses move, in my opinion, because I mean, I don't know. I don't think the bowling difference between Roston and Cornwall is that great. And given that it's St. Lucia specifically, I'm not saying if you're going to Bangladesh, you leave out Cornwall for Roston. But given that it is St. Lucia and you want that extra batting, I thought maybe they would have gone the extra seamer and given Roston the overs that Cornwall had, because he really wasn't that effective in the game. But all is hindsight, and that leads into the toss. Was it a bad decision to bat first, Kurt?
Well, given the team selection that they made with the extra batsman, I would assume that would be the biggest factor for them to bat first. So the strength in the batting, the aim would have been to put some runs on the tins. And it seems as though they would have anticipated some variable bounce on their, well, later on in the game. I did hear Craig Brathwaite speak to that effect. That was something that they were looking for. And true to form, the pitch did misbehave a little bit with a few balls keeping low as early as day 3. So does that vindicate the decision? I don't know, but I do understand why they made the choice. I personally would expect them to bowl, but given the decision making, I could understand why they decided to bat first.
Yeah, Kyle, do you think that maybe the decision, and I agree with Kurt, that seeing the side and playing the extra batsman, winning the toss, batting seemed like the more logical decision, given that your bowling is a little bit inexperienced as well, with Seals making his debut and the usual pace man that will do the damage in St. Lucia, Shannon not being there. But if you look at it from the other perspective, the batting is also relatively inexperienced, with Shea now returning after 2 years, a total of about 8 games between Bonner and Kyle Mears. Roston returning after about 2 series, a year or so out. Was it necessarily the best choice to bat first?
I think that regarding the toss, yeah, you would say, when we look at it, when we start to see the ball moving around, we would have been like, why, obviously, why would the West Indies decide to bat first here, knowing that South Africa has a stronger ball and attack, and our batting isn't the strongest. But when we look at the scorecard, there was no difference between what happened on day 1 and what happened on day 3. Honestly speaking, I honestly don't think that it would have made that big of a difference. I know, well, obviously the pitch would have had a little bit more life on day 1, obviously, but at the end of the day, it had grass on it. And when South Africa came to bowl in the second innings, the ball was lively. the same way. I don't think that it was a case where day one the ball was jumping or batsman would have been getting out because of extremely lazy pitch. I think we know in Test cricket you usually have the toughest time in the first hour on day one, and you would expect that. You look to tough that out and then cash in later on. To me, it wouldn't make a huge difference. I would be able to say it made a huge difference if I saw anything different in the second innings.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Interesting thoughts. Leading into the actual first innings performance, of course, hindsight is 2020. So, um, and I'm one that thinks whether or not the decision to whether or not you take the decision to bat or bowl, you have to go into the game expecting to do either one because obviously you can lose the toss, and South Africa could have inserted West Indies the same way. But looking at the first innings batting performance from West Indies, a pretty poor 97. And really and truly, if you get bowled out on the first day of a test match, you're in trouble. If you get bowled out under 100 on the first day of a test match, you're even in greater trouble. And if you get bowled out before tea on the first day, you're even in more trouble. So it really was a poor batting performance from the West Indies first up. Uh, or let me backtrack a bit. Was it a poor batting performance from the West Indies first up, or was it simply that South Africa's bowling was just far too good for the West Indies lineup? Kyle, you can have first grab.
Yeah, I think option two. I think South Africa is out of our league. We had some favorable performances against Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, but we know that that is two completely different kettle of fish. South Africa probably have three of the top 15 fast bowlers in the world right now, and a good quality spinner at that. In Maharaj is pretty underrated. Added to that, I think that I also think that it was a bad performance. Don't get me wrong. When you look at some of the dismissals that we saw, Bonner got a little rattled. You know, Shea got a good ball. Craig, the usual, call the crease. Kalmir is, I don't even know how to describe that. Blackwood the same. So, it's. I think it's a bit of both, but I definitely think South Africa is out of our league. We need to do better though. Don't get me wrong.
I much agree. Before I give my thoughts, I'll let Kurt have his say on it. Um, was it was it bad from West Indies, good from South Africa, too good from South Africa, or a bit of both?
Yeah, I mean, not a lot of time to spend on this one. It was good from South Africa. It was terrible for the West Indies. It wasn't a world beating bowling performance, I must say. But it really was, and we a lot of our batsmen were exposed again as it relates to quality quick bowling.
Yeah, man. I definitely agree. I thought if I ran through the innings really quickly, I thought Craig, look, as Kyle said, much the same. Um, Against quality fast bowling, he tends to get caught on the crease a lot. Um, Shea got a pretty decent ball. Bonner, you mentioned. Rosner hung around for a bit, but eventually got up play away from the body again. So not a a specifically good, or should I say, not an unavoidable dismissal again. And yeah, going down the order, it was a lot of the same. So that West Indies didn't, South Africa didn't bowl badly. They bowled a lot of good balls, but again, it's Test cricket, huh? And I feel if you're going to play Test cricket, you got to be able to bat good bowling, and I just don't think West Indies were able to do that the first time around. Um, looking at the looking at the bowling performance of West Indies and a little bit of the batting performance of South Africa, How would you say we measured up with the ball, Kurt? What are your thoughts on that?
I would say that we kind of missed Shannon. I let me just start there. I think that we missed Shannon because I think Shannon also brings a bit of intimidation, being well known around the international circuit. So just from the psychological aspect of being Kemar Roach's new ball partner to good effect for a while, I think we really missed that element where Jason could then settle into doing what he does best with um, the next quick bowler. So when I mention the next quick bowler, no, let me touch on Seals. Seals was, to me, exceptional. I thought that he hit some really good lengths. I mean, first over, you could have seen that. I think there was a full toss and probably a ball erring on the legs. But other than that, I think that he hit some really good lengths through his spell, especially for a spell. So I'm really happy with him, and I can understand why everyone seems to be very high on Jaden Seals. But also with missing Shannon, I also think that we missed the next fast bowler. I really did think that we should have had the 4 quicks on this wicket. I think, Mears always does an admirable job, but he's not going to be a world beating quick bowler. And I thought that if we had Zari Joseph or another fast bowler, but in this case, Zari Joseph to help support Seals and support Roach, I really think we could have put a lot more pressure on South Africa. I thought South Africa, they don't have their most experienced batting unit with Varane and Keegan Peterson making their debuts. And I thought that, once we were able to slice into them a little bit quicker and get the caught under pressure, that we could have dismissed them for fewer runs as well. Bearing in mind that we had the caught out off of a no ball, which could have helped if it wasn't a no ball. But I really do think that the extra pressure for the extra quick, given that, he bowled well, of course, would have helped our cause a lot more.
Yeah, Kyle. What do you think of the bowling performance from West Indies? And well, I was about to say in the first innings, but they only bowled once. So, what do you think about the bowling performance of West Indies, and a bit on the batting performance of South Africa as well? And also, I can throw one in there for you. Would you have given Jaden Seals a new ball?
That's a good question. I take a tackle that one first. I think we've seen this before. Jason likes to, well, I said Jason likes to, but Craig in this case. Usually, when there is an experienced fast bowler in the squad, Jason usually takes the new ball ahead of that bowler. I don't necessarily have a huge problem with it. Honestly, I think Jason is more than capable of doing the job. Would I have given Seals a new ball? Probably because he was stepping in for Shannon. I probably would have, allowed him to express himself in new ball. But at the same time, as we say, it's test cricket, and we need, and after, especially being dismissed for 97, we needed a steady head at that point in time. We needed proven quality, and I think that's why Jason would have taken a new ball there. And I don't necessarily have a problem with it. He didn't bowl badly, but obviously he wasn't as effective as we probably would have liked. South Africa's batting, we know that South Africa is not necessarily the strongest batting side in the world right now. I think that we bowl pretty decent. I don't think we bowl badly. I don't think we bowl not nearly as good as South Africa. But we still had them at the ropes. We still had them on the ropes, to be honest. I think we lost that game in small periods. I would have said, obviously, Quinn de Kock is one to watch. I would have named him as one to watch, and we know that he has the capabilities to take a game away from you, and that's exactly what he did. Kurt mentioned that we got him out off a no ball, and I know that I think he was dropped by Kyle Mears in the deep just as he was starting to go on that low tier that he had, and I think that that is where we really lost the game. We navigated the little partnerships that I had with Mark Crum and Van der Dussen. We took wickets at key intervals. We did almost everything we could have done, almost everything we could have done. And looking back on it, I agree with Kurt in that Alzari probably would have played a role there. He would have definitely played. He would have definitely helped to support the fast bowlers, and he would have had another option other than the spinners who were quite ineffective in this game. In hindsight, you probably could have gone with the 4-1 in Roston because Cornwall didn't really add much with the bat at all, and he was really effective with the ball. With the ball. So maybe that would have been the best thing. Maybe that is some way that West Indies could look to go in the next test. But brilliance from Quinton de Kock. You know, he almost can't do much about it. He played a great hand, and he definitely won the game for South Africa there. He took the game away from the West Indies.
Yeah. Again, I agree with many of the comments that were made. I didn't think we go badly at all. I thought we did what we needed to do in terms of making early inroads into South Africa's batting lineup. And we got Elgar pretty early up, and that was crucial. And we got one of the debutants, Peterson, fairly early in his innings as well. But of course, with only 97 on the board, it's hard to apply pressure. And I think South Africa being just that much more experienced with the bat, realized that was the scenario, because a less experienced side could have crumbled there as well. But I think South Africa's batting experience, even though they had two debutants, Peterson is coming in with 90-odd first-class games, and Varenya is coming in with 50-odd first-class games. So that counts for something. And yeah, that goes back to another discussion that I think we've had before, where we need to take a look at our first-class system, because we're getting our guys playing first-class cricket with 10 and 12, playing test cricket, with 10 and 12 first-class games, one in the case of Jaden Seals in this test specifically. But yeah, good batting, good control. Again, if you look at the two scores that came in the top order surrounding those two quick wickets, the 60 from Aidan Markham came off 110 deliveries, and the 46 from Van der Dussen came from 148 deliveries. And that experience and that ability to just settle and hang in, you're already batting on day one, day one of the test match, having dismissed yourself for 97. And I think that ability to just stick in and navigate those waters kind of proved crucial for South Africa. And then the Kock just took it away. It gave him the platform to come in and play his game. He hadn't scored 100 in a while, and it'd been a talking point. But he came in and he showed his class. He showed why he is one of the main threats for South Africa on this tour. Second time around for West Indies, I don't know if it was a better batting performance, but we got a few more runs. So I'll take the positive in that we got a few more runs and a little bit more fight, I guess, in that second innings. What are your thoughts on the second innings performance, guys? I saw Bonner being replaced by Kieran Powell, unfortunately being concussed. Not sure if he's going to be available for the second test, which saw a change in the batting lineup. Would you have opened the batting with Shea Hope again, or would you have allowed Kieran Powell to as he did open the innings? Personally, I think he's a natural opener. He goes to the top, and I think Shea, to me, is of better use, if I can use that word, to West Indies, coming a little bit further down. But That's how it worked out. But would you have done it that way as well, guys? Kyle first.
Yeah, I would have done it like that. Powell's opener, he opened all his life. So obviously, I think that it was an easy, straightforward choice, sending him back at the top. I don't think personally that the second innings was much better than the first. Soft dismissals right the way through. Uh, Unfortunate for the guys at the top that they didn't really last. But again, a good quality bowling performance by South Africa, and that's something that we can see straight through the series. And if the West Indies can't handle it, it's going to be more the same in the second test. And don't get me wrong, good balls is bowl. It's test cricket. As we keep saying, good balls will bowl a test cricket. More good balls will bowl in test cricket than any other cricket that we see. You gotta find a way to navigate the pressure periods. I mean, South Africa, they're kind of relentless in that they have three very, very, very high quality fast bowlers. But at the same time, you have to be able to navigate tough pressure periods. You have to be able to bat in adverse conditions. And this is something that we have not been able to do for a very long time. As soon as play gets a certain quality, we tend to crumble. Roston, well played. Obviously, I think that maybe that innings would have showed why he would have got a nod above another bowler. But at the end of the day, it really was not enough from the other six batsmen in the side, and we need to see some better performances, or we can be in the same position in the next test.
Yeah, Kurt, your thoughts on the second innings from West Indies?
Yeah, well, exactly what Kyle said as it relates to the batting performance and the bowling from South Africa. They're going to be relentless. I mean, let me just accept that there are going to be a lot of good deliveries bowled, and the batsmen do have to find a way to navigate this relentless bowling, tear them out, and hope to cash in after. As it relates to the question of the openers, Kwayne coming in, unfortunately for Bonner, who was concussed. I do have some question marks about that. I do take the point that Kwayne Powell is a natural opener, and therefore I could understand why they would go for him. But my question is, if you have selected Shea Hope to be the opener for the series, then why go away from that plan? That was obviously the cemented plan all along. So I do not see why we went away from that. Because if Bonner is fit for the next game, which is a big if, then I am assuming that Shea Hope is supposed to be reinstated as the opener alongside Craig Brathwaite. So why wasn't he given the opportunity to bed in on this particular role, which has been established for him for the West Indies team? To me, it's muddled thinking, but I can understand, what you guys are saying about Kwayne being a natural opener and therefore giving him the opportunity. But I was a little disappointed in that. It didn't really make much of a difference because neither of the two guys didn't really come off in this innings. But I wait to see what the decision will be for the next test. My question is, if for example, if Bonner, came back in, Kwayne managed to get a score, then I guess that was it. That would have been the end of hope for the next test match after one test.
Yeah, of course.
To me, it's really muddled. But that's just my opinion. And as it relates to the rest of Bahrain, all the guys got exposed again. Roston did well. I've always been saying from the time of the cricket's birth that I hold Roston Chase to a very high standard, and therefore when he doesn't come off, I'm usually quite disappointed. So I'm happy to see him take his opportunity this time around, and hopefully stake his claim to this particular batting position, perhaps, and go forward with confidence. Oh, I must say something as well. Out of the day-night cricket crew, I know that I will be designated as the biggest Jermaine Blackwood fan. self-proclaimed as well from the crew. But Jermaine Blackwood does have to show me a little bit more as the vice captain to say. Maybe the vice captaincy is a curse though. But anyway, Jermaine Blackwood does have to show me a little bit more as the vice captaincy to decide. And I am also a little bit disappointed with Jermaine. There are two examples I have now for this. In Bangladesh, he was one of the most experienced batsmen, and he remained in a lower order batting position. Yes, I understand that most batsmen who bat like him tend to occupy the number 6 position, but I was a little bit disappointed that he didn't take, or maybe it was the team think tank decision, but I was a little bit disappointed that he didn't take the reins to bat here then. And I was a little disappointed that Ralston Chase, who was just coming back into the side, had to be the one to come and occupy the number 4 position. I don't see why Jermaine Blackwood couldn't have occupied that, for example. But that's just, something to ponder on.
Very, very interesting that you mentioned that at the end, because I was going to mention it briefly here, that this is the first time since Chase made his debut that he's batted at 4 for West Indies. He is now and has now batted ahead of some guys who would have kept him out of the side. So to me, it's a little, I don't know, it's a little strange, a little weird. But and I've been saying for a while, much as Kurt is a self-professed Blackwood fan, I am probably Ross's biggest fan. So I've been saying for a while, Ross's value to me, to West Indies, is more than just the runs alone that he will give you, because he offers you the opportunity to balance your side however you need to balance it. And in this case, West Indies didn't use that to their advantage, I didn't think, because if they have him in, then they could have brought the extra seamer in place of Cornwall, the spinner. But I think that having Rosson in West Indies side specifically offers a lot to the team, because you can play the extra seamer, you can play the extra spinner, you can even play Roston and another batsman if you wanted to. But I don't know. So that's where I think he's very, very valuable. And I personally think it was a bit hard done, because I believe that if you look at Roston and anyone else in the West Indies side, they're comparable. And if you're comparable and you have the edge of being the guy who is more versatile and can give the team more balance, to me, that counts for something, and maybe you should get that run. But we'll see what happens going into the next test. We'll see what the team looks like. Hopefully West Indies can make some adjustments if necessary and look to be stronger for the second test. All right, so now looking ahead to the final test of this series, what are some of the expectations, if any, we can have going into that second test from maybe the West Indies perspective? Or from a South Africa perspective, obviously is more of the same. But from a West Indian perspective, what can we look forward to, if anything, going into the second test match? And also, you can give a final takeaway from the first test. Kurt, I'll let you go first.
Regarding expectations, I would love to see the guys respond positively. The truth is, this was a trashing, and we'll be pretty low at the moment. And I would love to say we can't get any lower, so I'll stick with that. So hopefully there should be a bounce back performance from the guys. I would love to see, the guys go away and examine their batting techniques, specifically the batsmen, examine the techniques and try to navigate some ways with the batting support staff in which they can negate the South African bowling for longer and try to see if we could win some smaller periods in the game, so that all of those wins can add up to a greater batting performance in not one innings but also both innings. I do think that we have the ability to challenge South Africa, and hopefully put some scores on the things that we may be able to slice into their batting, which I don't think is that great either, and give them a challenge and perhaps come out on top. As it relates to what was the other question?
Yeah, any takeaways from the first test?
Takeaways from the first test. Well, that's again, you really can't get any lower than the performance that we gave as it relates to the batting. So they have a lot to ponder on and a lot to work on, and hopefully they can do that. As it relates to the bowling unit, as Kyle would have mentioned, and you would have mentioned as well, Kwayne, the bowlers did give a good account of themselves. I would like to see if it's the same sort of sporting wicket that we do have the additional quick in there to support Seals, Roach, and Jason Holder. How could I forget Jason Holder? And he had a quick in there to support those three, and hopefully we can make some earlier inroads. As you said, maybe we can examine the opportunity to use Chase as the main spinner, and that would give the opportunity for Joseph to get an opportunity there. And let's not forget too that Joseph was coming on with his batting, so he may be able to easily account for the runs that Rakeem can give us as well.
All right. Having said that, before I move to Kyle, give us your 11. Assuming that Bonner, well, I don't know if I should say assuming that he's out. Yeah, so assuming that Bonner won't play, and that there are no further additions to the squad on account of Bonner's absence, what would be your 11 for the next test match?
Well, that being the case, it would have to be the same batting unit that would have went out in the second innings. That's not my selection, but that is what I believe that they will have to go with. Because you don't want to give one person one innings or two innings and then discard them. I don't think that's right. So the same batting unit, and then we would replace. I hate to say this because I think that Cornwall has done pretty well in his stay, but I do believe that Joseph would have to come in ahead of Cornwall.
All right. Kyle, your takeaways, your preview of the next test, and your 11.
Yeah, so much of the same. That's what I expect. Much of the same. This was actually, I could just slip this in here. You gotta slip in something every episode. West Indies 200th test loss. Right? This is their second lowest aggregate. It turns of runs in both innings at home. So 259 runs in both innings. Second to 218 versus Australia back in 1999. That's when they were at the top of the game. So pretty poor performance all around. Also, South Africa's first win away from home in a test match since 2017. Who would have thought? Who would have thought? So they're definitely coming back strong. They're definitely coming back strong. I would like to see us apply ourselves some more with the batting. I think that's the main thing that we really have to work on as a nation. Applying ourselves with the bat when things are tough. Batting periods. I heard he has been speaking about batting in half hours. I think our batsmen need to apply that batting half hour periods. The openers stick out the first half hour. When number 3 comes in, stick out the first half hour and then cash in after that. I think it's a simple plan, and I think that's something that we should really be looking to implement as batsmen. I don't expect anything different from South Africa. It's gonna be the same side, it's gonna be the same bowling. We know what we're gonna be up against. Go home, think about it, replay. We could have done better. Rethink your shot selection. Rethink the way that you're looking to score your runs. Maybe you look to score a little squarer, because I also heard them speaking about that, looking to score a little square because they pitch a little bouncy, rather than driving that sort of stuff, because the ball moving laterally was not. So we know we're gonna be coming, so we should definitely be prepared. It can't shock anybody. I will go with the same batting lineup.
Actually, I'm gonna ask you from a slightly different perspective, because I suspect we get the same answer as Kurt if I ask you the same question.
Same thing.
So I'm gonna ask you from a slightly different perspective. Assume that Bonner is fit. What's your 11?
Bonner is fit. I'm going with the same 11. No. Bonner is fit. I'm going with the same batting unit, including Bonner. Shea at the top, but Alzari got to come in for Cornwall. The batting quality between the two, I think there's no difference, and I think that the pitch will more suit the extra pace than the spinner. So I can let Roston take the ball. I can not let Calmeres bowl as many overs as he did, and I can let Alzari slot in there, and hopefully he will do some more damage, and definitely help out the other seamers that need a little bit of assistance this thing. So hopefully we will have a better performance. Hopefully we see some runs from the batsmen. Hopefully we see a better bowling performance from some of the bowlers. We know they did pretty well, and we won't be in this position again next week.
Yes, I agree. I think for me, my takeaway from the first test was that we just simply were out of our depth in terms of the batting against good quality fast bowling, as it has been for a while. I don't want to say that we have been lured into a false sense of security after the Bangladesh and Sri Lanka series, but it really does look like more of what's gone on before in terms of facing up to good quality fast bowling. Will West Indies learn how to play the short ball any better or the bouncing ball, I should say, any better between now and the start of the second test? I don't know. So maybe we'll see more of the same. I don't know. But I guess we can only hope for the best. Kurt, I saw you mention that you wanted the batsmen to be a little bit more positive. So I'm gonna allow you to expand on that there for us.
Yeah, very briefly, there were a lot of situations where batsmen got the stumps hit, leaving deliveries on off stump, and there were a lot of dismissals where the batsmen were just hanging the bat. It seems to be a little bit of half and half batting, probably a little bit muddled as to which balls they should play from which balls they should leave. So I just think they need to have a more positive mindset. There's positivity in stroke play and there's positivity in defense. And they need to have settled minds when they go to bat as to what their plan is and execute to suit. If they're going to be batting out off stump, they should know what the off stump is and know which balls to leave, and definitely show a much more focused game in the second innings.
In this game, we did see a lot of dismissals away from the body, which I thought was pretty disappointing. As we've all said, it's test cricket. You get out to good balls, yes, but if you get out to every good ball, then there's a problem. So right. we need to, and I really hate using this phrase, but we need to go back to the drawing board.
The standards.
Let's even one more drawing boards.
I was about to say, or maybe we need to order a few more drawing boards because we've been going back there so long that I don't know what we can do now. But yes, the quality between the two sides in terms of the bowling of South Africa and the batting of West Indies is their own show. There's not much more that you can add to that. Rabada, Nortea, and Ngidi will put 4 to 6 deliveries out of the full 6 in the over where they want to put them 99% of the time. And our batsmen have to be able to recognize and realize early which balls to leave, which ones maybe they can leave on length instead of leaving on line alone. That might be a small adjustment that they can make as well. But we have to see how it goes in the second test. Anybody wants to change their predictions from the last show?
I gotta change my boy. South Africa is 2-0. Jeez, boy.
I get my heart here, guys. I know
Lord.
the West Indies can beat these men if they adjust. I get my heart. The West Indies can win this next game.
All right, I am
Alright,
going with my
sure.
original prediction of 1-0 to South Africa.
It's gonna be tough.
Maybe rain or some volcanic ash or something. But
Don't call that.
the second test may be a draw. I don't know. But yes, we'll see how it goes. It's hard. It's very difficult to say that West Indies win the second test off the back of the first test performance alone. But we've seen from the Bangladesh series coming forward, slight change in attitude, I guess, to the game from the West Indies team. So let's hope they can go back to that. Let's hope they can find that and put up a fight in the second test. All right, guys. So nice chat again. Looking forward to having, well, not this chat, but another chat at the end of the second test match, hopefully after more than 3 days. And,
For sure.
And hopefully
Oh,
there are much more positives to be had coming out of that. We'll listen out for any word on Bonner in the coming days and as to if there's any change in the squad to accommodate his absence or not, or if he's going to be fit. Also, I saw Shannon in St. Lucia still with the team, so he hasn't gone back home to rehab. So I don't know if that's a sign or some sort of symbol that he may be fit for the second test. I don't know. We have to keep our eyes and ears to the ground to find out. But all in all, we need to come with an improved performance in order to compete, let alone beat this South Africa side. So let's see if the guys can live up to it. All right, so until next time, stay good, stay safe. Remember to like, share, and subscribe. Tell a friend to tell a friend to tell a friend to tell a friend. And we will see you next time on Day and Night Cricket.
peace.